The Locus is the cheapest character in the Genestealer Cult roster. I really like the Locus. Not as a model, but as a unit. However, a lot of Genestealer Cult players avoid them, at all levels of play. The Locus ends up in S tier or F tier, rarely anywhere else. So in this video, we will explore the Locus, what they do, why players avoid it, and why I really recommend the Locus. The Locus has a pretty standard low tier character profile. Move 6, toughness 4, save of 5+, with a 4+ invulnerable save, 3 wounds, a leadership of 7+, and 1 objective control. Their invulnerable save of 4+ is all of the time. It is not limited to combat. We see that in other fights first characters like the Genestealer. In combat, the Locus is pretty good. 5 attacks at damage 2, hitting on 2, strength 5, AP -2. That is very close to the Patriarch. And the main thing we want the Locus for, the main cool ability, is sudden assault. While the model is leading a unit, models in that unit have fight first. Separately, the Locus has the core ability, fights first. So they always have fight first. Are you with me on fight first? Do you understand fight first? It means that in the fight phase, this unit has to be picked to fight first. And when it comes to, oh, the enemy charged, so they get fight first, and I have fight first because I have a Locus in the unit, the reacting player, like the defending player, the player whose turn is not currently taking place, they pick a unit first. So if an enemy charges the Locus's unit fights before the unit that charged them. If you want to know more about Fight First, I have a video that explains all the parts of Fight First in detail. The comments on that video tell me that it works as a good explainer. Because the Locus has Fight First all of the time, they can operate as a single character and fight when something rushes in to kill him. It may not be enough to wipe out 5 Space Marines. In theory, you can wipe out 5 Space Marines, but the enemy will take casualties as they try and take you out, and they have to commit something of value, so that after your attacks, they have enough attacks to wipe you out. With the Deep Strike ability, a lone deep striking Locus character can score secondary missions. And with that 4+ invulnerable save and the fight first, what's not to like? They can fit into a smaller area of the board than 5 Acolytes or 5 Pure Strain Genestealers. Even if there isn't the perfect unit for them to lead, that's a good reason to have a Locus in your army. Leaders do not have to join units. You don't get lone operative, you can still be shot, but a Locus is cheaper than Acolytes or Pure Strains. As a leader, the Locus can join 4 different kinds of units to give them fight first. Acolytes with auto pistols, Acolytes with hand flamers, hybrid metamorphs, and neophyte hybrids. Don't consider the neophytes. Really, what is the point of giving 10 or 20 guys with 1 attack hitting on a 4+ any kind of fight first? You're going to do nothing to the enemy. The Locus has a second ability, which is Bodyguard. It's an interesting idea to bodyguard a Primus with 20 neophytes, if your Primus kept getting killed by precision attacks, but you want the Locus with combat units like the Acolytes and the Metamorphs. You can't double up on characters in Metamorphs, but you can with the Acolytes. You can attach the Locus to a unit of Acolyte hybrids or Neophyte hybrids, even if it has a Primus, Magos, or Icon Ward. Those are the only characters you can double up with, so you can't have a Locus and a Biophagus. And you can't double up in Metamorphs. But that means you have a squad of 10 Acolytes of one kind or the other, and a Primus, and a Locus. That's getting expensive, and you don't have much in the way of ablative bodies before you are just hitting the Primus and Locus anyway. When I've tried it, it's not worth the points, so I consider having the Locus without any other character in the unit, mainly for their combat profile and the fight first ability. If you think of more reasons not to include them or reasons why you should include the Locus, put it in the comments. Convince people before the inevitable voting poll in my community tab on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel to see that and get more good Genestealer Cult stuff. So what are the reasons not to include the Locus? Why do people go, the Locus, no, that's a character I just skip over every time? As a pop-up point scorer, 5 Acolytes are a few more points. They have hand flamers to cause range damage, with rerolls to wound against enemies on objectives, or reroll 1s to wound against any enemies. And they have an icon to regenerate models if your opponent doesn't kill them instantly. And if they are killed, you have resurgence points to go again. you cannot return the Locus with resurgence points. And I agree, if you're going to have a unit pop up and score points, the Acolytes are better. Pure Strain Genestealers are 2 resurgence points at time of recording, so bring them back if you need another unit to pop up and complete a mission. The Pure Strain Genestealers can return on the Cult Ambush markers, then move and advance and charge if need be in your coming turn. For point scoring, I would take Acolytes and Genestealers. But if you needed to save 25 points-ish, swap the 5 Acolytes for a Locus. The Locus is not great in the Biosanctic Brood Surge, and that is a very popular detachment to play. Because the Locus does nothing for Neophytes, and they can be joined to Acolytes or Metamorphs, the character you want to attach to those units in the Biosanctic Brood Surge is the Biophagus. That way, you get the detachment rule for the whole unit. And you cannot have a Biophagus and a Locus, it's one or the other, so naturally, pick the Biophagus, because then you get so much more. +1 to wound, lethal hits, and the detachment rule of +1 attack, and an easier charge. In all of the other detachments, the main reason I hear for not taking the Locus is because Genestealer Cult units are fragile. What hits us kills us. And so, good Genestealer Cult players know that we charge or we die. And if we are dying, it doesn't matter about fighting because we have a cult icon to return models. And if we're charging, we fight first anyway, so you don't need to pay for a character that gives you fight first. If the unit dies, you can spend resurgence points to bring them back. Characters do not come back. So why would you want a character that lets you fight first? Well, because if you can survive a charge by fighting first, you cause damage to the enemy. Being dead doesn't let you do that. Even if you come back with a vengeance, you have lost a lot. You used resurgence points. You lost time setting up the unit again and hoping you make a charge. Or you lose even more time if you fail the charge, and then, either way, you lose positioning. If you were on an objective or blocking the enemy, and now they are through, and they have the objective, they are scoring victory points. Fighting first makes the enemy try to survive to kill you, which they may not, or they use something like 2 command points to fight on death to try and take out the Locus and their unit at the same time as the Locus's unit is killing them. That means the enemy is losing a unit in their turn and also spending command points just to be effective. Or, knowing we have fight first, which is something you should repeatedly remind your opponent, not just because it's polite, but because it's psychologically scary. Enemies will not charge you if they know you have fight first. And that is a great part of fight first. Enemies miss 100% of the melee attacks they don't make. They don't take the objective and have to shoot you to death and then later on move on to the objective. Your opponent loses time. That is why I like fight first characters. It's a headache for your opponent. Do they hope to kill you? Just to keep the game going? Just to maybe score some victory points? Just to use an activation that they have? Or do they wait it out and see if we would like to charge? Or if we're already on the objective, maybe we don't charge. We just stand across from them and we are scoring victory points. They are not. What hits us in combat kills us easily. Anything with more than a tiny knife can kill Acolytes or Metamorphs. The Locus gives you the safety if you mess up your positioning. Everyone messes up and has a unit that could easily be charged. The Locus gives you redundancy, especially when you're playing complicated Genestealer Cult in hordes of 100+ models. I like to rapid ingress the Locus and an Acolyte unit with mining tools. I'll put them out of line of sight if there's anything that could shoot them, otherwise I will stand in the open 9 inches away. It's the enemy's turn, they can charge if they want, but rarely do, and we get to decide then where we move and where we charge, if we charge, what objectives we want to take. Acolytes have high objective control. We could walk forward and stand on the objective that the enemy is also standing on and outscore them, and then they either have to bring in another unit that can shoot us, or they have to charge us, going through that fight first, taking casualties as they go. You can have the Locus in a truck, in any detachment, but especially in the Outlander Claw that loves its trucks. The Locus could join Acolytes with mining tools and auto pistols in a truck, or the Locus could join Metamorphs. You wouldn't be able to scout in that case, but the Metamorphs do well in a truck because they can get out and reroll wounds on their hand flamers when disembarking when the truck shoots the same target as them. So we're hiding in a truck. The enemy shoots the truck to destroy it, that is standard, and then the unit inside falls out. If we're on an objective, the enemy will have to charge us to take that objective, otherwise we recover from battle shock in our turn and score that objective. If the enemy doesn't charge, if they don't use that activation, they waste time and may only charge if they have a very tough unit like a Land Raider, or desperately need to get onto the objective to score a secondary mission and have to hope one model survives at the end of the turn to outscore our battle-shocked unit. Fights first is great. Enemies charge, they would fight first, but we fight before them. There is no stopping that. That is the counter to combat armies. Genestealer Cult can counter a lot of shooting armies. We can tie them up with fast-moving pure strains and bikes. In the Host of Ascension, you can move units back underground after getting shot a bit. Our weakness is lots of melee attacks in combat. Aberrants can fight on death with an Abominant, but all other Genestealer Cult units die quickly and easily. The World Eaters, the Space Wolves, the Black Templars, the Blood Angels are all really good at moving quickly into our units and tearing us apart with ease, without taking damage unless we have really good Overwatch, or we have Fight First. The Locus gives you the counter to the armies that are our biggest weakness. Arguably, you can get around Fight First. Charge a non-Fights First unit, move closer, pile into the Fight First unit. As you are piling in, you have already been chosen to fight, so the Fight First unit won't be able to activate until after the unit that is charged. Ooh, that's very clever. However, do you know why I would have the Locus's unit so near to another Genestealer Cult unit to even allow this? It's so I can heroically intervene, then fight first. It is one command point, or it's free with an enhancement in the Brood Brothers Auxilia. Adaptive Reprisal. Have that on the Locus, and they can pick themselves as the unit within 9 inches of themselves to heroically intervene for 0 command points. I will take a Locus in all detachments except for the Biosanctic Brood Surge. In Xenocreed, you can get the detachment bonus by attaching a Locus to your Acolyte Hybrids or Hybrid Metamorphs, because while one or more character models are leading the unit, you can reroll advance rolls and charge rolls. That is the detachment rule. Separately to that, part 2 of the detachment rule is if that character is a Magus Primus or Acolyte Icon Ward, then you have a 3+ Feel No Pain on that model. Advance and charge, and fight first. Great. It's the cheapest character you can attach, so that's the cheapest way to get the detachment bonus. The Locus can't use any of the enhancements, but in the Host of Ascension, that's where I would have maybe Assassination Edict, so that when you charge a character or are charged by a character, then you get +1 to hit. Another great idea is Prowling Adjutant. If the enemy moves closer to one of your non-fight first units, and they're within 9 inches of the Locus's unit, you can move d6 inches closer, so you're ready to heroically intervene. The threat of fight first can stop the enemy charging even your non-Locus fight first unit. I think the Locus is a great character. And it's a character that you should kit bash. Do not buy these models. I think the Locus is perhaps the worst model because apart from the giant Genestealer Cult symbol on the back, you wouldn't be able to tell it's a Genestealer Cult character. So here's how to kit bash your own Locus and many other Genestealer Cult characters. My darlings and viewers, have a great day of 40k.